There are two types of pain. The first is failure. The second is the realization that you, and only you, were the idiot who screwed everything up. Today, we're not talking about bad luck. We're celebrating 101 cases where people held a golden ticket and decided to use it as a napkin. This is a parade of glorious self-destruction. 1. A man once bought a dusty old painting at a flea market for $4, mostly because he liked the frame. He threw out the canvas and kept the aged document behind it as backing for another picture. Turns out, that worthless piece of paper was an original 1776 copy of the Declaration of Independence, which later sold for millions. He literally held a fortune and thought it was trash. 2. For decades, an Australian prospector used a massive, ugly rock to prop open a door, knowing only that it was heavy. After years of tripping over it, he finally had it checked. It was a 100-pound gold nugget worth millions. His fortune wasn't just at his doorstep, it was his doorstep. 3. Denise Rossi's plan was beautiful in its audacity. Win a $181 million lottery, then immediately divorce your husband before he finds out. Her fatal flaw? Believing the legal system was as dumb as her scheme. A judge discovered her little secret and, in a moment of sublime legal karma, awarded her ex-husband every single cent. 4. In 2010, Laszlo Hanyecz broadcast a request to trade 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 large pizzas. Someone accepted. While he gets credit for the first real-world crypto transaction, he also earned a permanent legacy. The man who paid the equivalent of a corporate jet for a pepperoni pizza. 5. Ronald Wayne, an original founder of Apple, held a 10% stake in the company. But fearing potential debt, he cashed out in 1976 for $800. He didn't just sell his ticket for the voyage. He helped build the rocket ship and then traded his seat for bus fare home. 6. A Filipino fisherman kept a 75-pound pearl under his bed for 10 years. It was his good luck charm. He had no idea it was the largest natural pearl ever found, valued at over $100 million. He was sleeping on a literal dragon's hoard and thought it was just a weird rock. 7. In the year 2000, Netflix, a tiny, failing DVD by mail service, begged Blockbuster to buy them for $50 million. The Blockbuster executives literally laughed them out of the room. It was the business equivalent of swatting away a fly that later returns as Godzilla and stomps on your entire city. 8. When British treasure hunter Eric Laws found the largest hoard of Roman silver in UK history, his first thought wasn't history, it was, how can I skim some off the top? He tried to pocket a few priceless artifacts before reporting it. He still got a reward, but it was drastically cut for being a greedy, historical vandal. 9. Some people lose money in a bad investment. James Howells lost his entire digital Fort Knox in a garbage bag. He threw out a hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoin, now worth hundreds of millions. His fortune is currently decomposing under a mountain of Welsh trash, and the city won't let him start digging. 10. Alan Amron insists he invented the Post-it note and even had a verbal deal with 3M. The only thing standing between him and a billion-dollar royalty check is the one thing he can't find, the single piece of paper to prove it. He potentially built a gold mine and then lost the deed. 11. After winning a $1 million Texas lottery, a man sued the commission, arguing he deserved an even bigger jackpot. The judge, not amused by this display of peak entitlement, threw out the lawsuit and then ordered him to pay the state's legal fees, making his win significantly smaller. 12. In 2005, MySpace, the king of social media, had the chance to buy a small startup called Facebook for $75 million. MySpace's CEO passed, calling the price too high. It was like owning the entire Roman Empire and refusing to buy a small, promising vineyard that would later conquer the world. 13. 19. Canadian construction workers had a lottery pool. One week, it hit for $50 million. The guy who bought the ticket decided it was his alone. His spectacular act of greed didn't lead to a party, but to a year-long legal war that vaporized friendships and a huge chunk of the winnings. 14. When a priceless 19th-century fresco of Jesus started to flake, an elderly Spanish parishioner decided she, an amateur, could restore it. She transformed the historic artwork into the global meme known as Monkey Christ. single-handedly turning a piece of cultural heritage into a tourist trap punchline. 15. In 1963, Harvey Ball was paid $45 to draw the smiley face. He never trademarked it. His simple little doodle went on to generate billions for others, becoming a universal icon. He was left with his original fee, proof that you can create happiness for the world and still die with an average bank account. 16. A New Jersey woman won a $5 million jackpot and immediately got sued by her live-in boyfriend, who claimed they had a verbal agreement to split it. Instead of settling, she fought him tooth and nail in court. The judge not only sided with the boyfriend but also made her pay his legal fees, turning her win into a financial bloodbath. 17. Here's a masterclass in snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. A British man won a $150,000 lawsuit. Convinced he deserved more, he rejected the payout and appealed. The new judge disagreed, reversed the decision entirely, and ordered him to pay the other side's legal costs. He literally turned a win into a debt. 18. Joe and Marge Sutherland won a $15 million jackpot and then couldn't find the ticket. They tore their house apart, only to remember they'd pinned it to a bulletin board for safekeeping. A board they had cleared off and thrown in the trash weeks earlier. Their fortune ended up in a landfill because of spring cleaning. 19. Scottish inventor John Shepherd Barron created the ATM, a revolutionary device. But he only patented the machine itself, not the core concept that made it secure, the personal identification number, or PIN. He basically invented the world's most popular safe and then gave away the combination for free. 20. In 1999, Yahoo could have licensed a new search technology from 2 Stanford students for a mere $1 million. They said no. A few years later, those same students, now running Google, offered to sell their entire company to Yahoo for $5 billion. Yahoo said no. Again. 21. A Pennsylvania man found a priceless 18th century rifle in his attic. To improve its value for auction, he sanded down the original wood and polished the historic metal until it gleamed. He successfully transformed a 6-figure antique into a shiny, worthless piece of firewood. 22. After Etta Mae Urquhart won $1 million, she trusted her son to handle the paperwork. Big mistake. The son claimed the ticket as his own, bought a fleet of luxury cars and 3 houses, and refused to give his own mother a dime. He didn't just steal her money, he stole her trust for a new Lexus. 23. A California gold rush farmer used a massive, glittering rock as a hearthstone for years, convinced it was just fool's gold. A visiting geologist nearly fainted when he saw it. A nearly pure chunk of gold. For years, the farmer had been warming his feet on what was essentially a golden ATM. 24. Belgian artist Wim Delvoye sold tattooed live pigs as living art for 6-figure sums. One farmer, who owned one of these mobile masterpieces, mistook the intricate Louis Vuitton tattoo for a weird skin disease and promptly sent the $1 million pig to the slaughterhouse. 25. In 1997, Disney forgot to renew the domain name for their search engine, go.com. A college student snapped it up for $70. Disney, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, had to pay a fortune to get its own name back from a kid who was simply paying attention. 26. A janitor at a German museum saw an art installation by Martin Kippenberger, a rubber trough with a chalky film, valued at $800,000. Believing it was just a dirty bucket, she diligently scrubbed it clean, fixing the priceless artwork until it became a genuinely worthless, clean bucket. 27. Back in the early 80s, Atari was the king of video games. A young engineer named Steve Jobs offered them a prototype for a personal computer he'd built. Atari's executives, in their infinite wisdom, passed. That prototype became the Apple II, the machine that launched a revolution Atari completely slept through. 28. An office lottery pool in Michigan won a $46 million jackpot. Mark Hill, a regular contributor, had skipped that week because he didn't have a dollar on him. His co-workers became millionaires overnight. He was left with nothing but the most expensive case of "I'll get in on it next time" in history. 29. A woman in England won a life-changing $6.5 million lottery. There was just one tiny problem. She couldn't remember where she'd bought the ticket. Because of strict anti-fraud rules, the Lottery Commission couldn't verify the purchase and refused to pay. Her brain had a multi-million-dollar lapse. 30. For years, a Texas family owned a painting they thought was a cheap replica, even letting their kids use it for tennis practice. An expert later identified it as a long-lost Renaissance masterpiece worth over $30 million. Their children had been using a national treasure as a backboard. 31. Con man. Stephen Cohen brilliantly stole the sex.com domain, a digital ATM machine. His fatal flaw? He got greedy and stupid. Instead of disappearing with his millions, he fled to Mexico, got caught, and was hit with a $65 million judgment. He held the keys to an empire and then personally handed them to the police. 32. A construction worker found a bag with $100,000 that had fallen from an armored truck. He immediately went on a spending spree. His downfall? He paid for everything with the sequentially numbered bills, creating a perfect paper trail for the FBI. He was too dumb to launder his own found money. 33. For years, a French family used a dark, gloomy painting to cover a hole in their kitchen wall. Turns out, it was a lost masterpiece by the artist Cimabue. It later sold for $24 million. They were literally making toast next to a fortune and never once thought to get it appraised. 34. After winning $1 million lottery, a Michigan woman on welfare kept playing. She won a second, much bigger jackpot. The problem? She never reported the first win, a felony. When she claimed her new prize, the state discovered her fraud and sent her directly to prison. She won twice and lost everything. 35. The crypto world has no undo button, a lesson one trader learned the hard way. With a single typo in a wallet address, they accidentally sent 800 Bitcoin into the digital void. In one click, a multi-million-dollar fortune was permanently deleted from existence. 36. After winning the lottery, a man decided to celebrate by buying a large amount of cocaine and throwing a party. The celebration ended when his house exploded from a gas leak ignited by his drug use. He survived but lost his house, his winnings, and his freedom in one spectacular night of failure. 37. A man bought an abandoned storage unit for $500, finding a locked safe inside. Convinced it held gold, he drilled right through the middle of it. He found a collection of mint condition, rare comic books, now with perfect drill holes in them. Their value vaporized from over $1 million to almost nothing. 38. A British man unearthed 2 rare Roman-era pots. Believing they were empty and worthless, he smashed them to pieces in a fit of frustration. He learned later that intact pots of that kind were incredibly valuable. His temper tantrum cost him more than a therapist ever would. 39. Harvey Ball got paid exactly $45 to create the iconic yellow smiley face in 1963. He never trademarked it. His simple doodle went on to generate billions for others. He's a perfect example of how you can bring joy to the world and still get absolutely hosed on the deal. 40. A Brazilian farmer sold his worthless plot of land for a tiny sum. The new owner immediately discovered it was sitting on top of the world's largest emerald deposit, valued at over $300 million. The original farmer didn't just sell the farm, he sold a king's ransom for pocket change. 41. During a messy divorce, a man won a $30 million lottery. To hide it from his wife, he created a fake company to receive the checks. A judge saw right through the pathetic scheme, ruled it malicious, and in a glorious act of legal justice, awarded his wife 100% of the winnings. 42. A man in England won a $9.5 million jackpot and immediately began living like a rock star. Through a series of terrible investments and lavish parties, he burned through the entire fortune. Within years, he was bankrupt and working as a coalman. He didn't just lose, he speed ran his way back to poverty. 43. In 1999, a man noticed Google.com's domain had expired and bought it. For one glorious minute, he owned Google. He could have demanded a fortune. Instead, he reported it back to the company. They thanked him and gave him a small reward. He held the internet hostage and asked for bus fare. 44. An amateur archaeologist found a priceless Viking hoard and, in a moment of pure stupidity, decided to hide it from the authorities. He was caught trying to secretly sell off the rare coins. His greed cost him the entire claim to the treasure and earned him a criminal record instead. 45. Two brothers stood to inherit a fortune with one condition in the will: they could not contest it. Believing they could squeeze out more, they contested it anyway. The judge simply enforced the no contest clause, and they were completely disinherited. They played chicken with a dead man's wishes and lost. 46. In the 80s, Mars Candy was offered product placement for M&Ms in a new Spielberg movie. They passed. The movie, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, used Reese's Pieces instead, and their sales exploded. Mars had the chance to be the official candy of an alien icon and said, "Nah, we're good." 47. After inheriting a stamp collection worth over $2 million, a man decided the stamps would look better without the messy paperbacking. He carefully soaked each one in water and peeled them off, single-handedly destroying the collection's entire value. He essentially washed a fortune down the drain. 48. A woman in Brazil found a rock on her property she was convinced was a diamond. Experts told her it was just quartz. She refused to believe them, thinking it was a conspiracy to trick her. She clung to her worthless diamond until she died broke, choosing pride over a comfortable life. 49. The inventor of the K-Cup coffee pod, John Sylvan, sold his patent for a mere $50,000 in 1997. He later admitted he didn't think the idea would be that successful. The K-Cup became a multi-billion-dollar product. He missed out on a fortune because he underestimated his own invention. 50. An Indiana couple won a $1 million Powerball prize. They waited so long to claim it that they missed the 180-day deadline by just a few hours. With the winning ticket in hand, they were told it was now just a worthless piece of paper. Their procrastination was literally the most expensive in history. 51. After winning a $3 million lottery, a woman went on a luxury spending spree. Her one mistake? She forgot the single most important step: signing the back of the ticket. She lost the unsigned ticket, turning her multi-million-dollar prize into a worthless, unprovable piece of paper. 52. To win a trivial argument with a cousin, a man ripped a page out of an old comic book. That comic was a near-mint copy of Action Comics Number 1. He won the bet, but instantly shredded over $100,000 in value. He proved his point and also proved he was a world-class idiot. 53. Before Disney World, Central Florida was cheap swampland. One farmer stubbornly refused to sell his orange groves. He held out, only to watch Disney build its magical kingdom entirely around his property, leaving him with an isolated and far less valuable roadside fruit stand. 54. A British couple won a $1.8 million jackpot and, convinced it would bring them good karma, gave almost all of it away. Within a few years, they were completely broke, living on canned soup, and abandoned by the very people they helped. Their karma, it seems, got lost in the mail. 55. A man and his girlfriend played the same lottery numbers for years. After they broke up, he spitefully quit playing them. She didn't. She promptly hit a $22 million jackpot with their old numbers. His pettiness didn't just cost him a relationship, it cost him $11 million. 56. A man found a rare painting and got a $250,000 offer from an expert. Convinced it was worth more, he refused and took it to a major auction. It failed to sell. When he went back to the expert, the offer was gone. His greed turned a sure thing into a worthless canvas. 57. After finding a rare $50,000 first edition Harry Potter book, a man hid it in his freezer for safekeeping. He returned from vacation to find a power outage had defrosted it, leaving him with a warped, soggy, worthless mess. He tried to protect it and ended up waterboarding it. 58. A German programmer has a digital wallet with $240 million in Bitcoin. The password is on an encrypted hard drive. He's forgotten it. He has 2 guesses left before the drive erases itself forever. His entire fortune is held hostage by his own terrible memory. 59. In 2011, a French couple threw out an old, lumpy mattress left by a previous owner to make room for a party. They later learned that the former occupant had stashed $1 million in cash inside it. They literally threw a fortune out with the garbage to make space for cheap beer. 60. In the 70s, the founders of Timberland offered a 50% stake in their small boot company to a young designer for just a few $1,000s. That designer was Nike's Phil Knight. He passed, missing the chance to own half of what became a global footwear empire. Even geniuses make dumb calls. 61. A group of friends found a message in a bottle with a treasure map. They spent thousands on an expedition to a remote island. After days of digging, they unearthed a box. Inside was a note. "Congratulations, you found a fake treasure map." They paid a fortune for a punchline. 62. A woman bought a $5 painting at a thrift store. An expert later identified it as a lost masterpiece. Before she could sell it, she got into a legal war with the thrift store owner over a share of the profits. Her $5 bargain turned into a 5-figure legal nightmare. 63. A man tried to deep fry a turkey indoors for a viral video. The fire department's arrival and the subsequent water damage to his apartment cost him thousands. He got his viral video, but it was a perfect recording of his own expensive, insurance-unfriendly stupidity. 64. To save a few bucks, a man mailed himself a rare diamond he bought overseas, declaring its value as only $15. The package vanished. The Postal Service insurance paid him out exactly $15 for his lost multi-thousand-dollar gem. He played himself perfectly. 65. A restaurant owner in China fired an employee who won a massive lottery jackpot, fearing he'd become lazy. The fired worker then used his millions to open a competing restaurant directly across the street, becoming his former boss's #1, very well-funded, rival. 66. A man found a rare Nintendo cartridge worth over $20,000 in his attic. To clean it, he polished the internal contacts with steel wool. He successfully destroyed the delicate circuitry, instantly transforming a valuable collectible into a worthless piece of 90s plastic. 67. A Quebec woman won a $13 million jackpot and immediately quit her job in a blaze of glory. Her celebration was premature. She soon discovered her ex-boyfriend, with whom she had an agreement to split winnings, had no intention of sharing. She burned her bridges before checking her bank account. 68. In the 1890s, the entire town of Beaumont, Texas, sat on a massive oil field. They thought the natural gas leaks were just a stinky public nuisance. They had no idea they were living on a source of immense wealth, until an outsider finally drilled the famous Spindletop well. 69. A man in England spent years building a flawless replica of a Ferrari 250 GTO in his basement. The car was worth over $1 million. When it was finally finished, he realized his masterpiece was too big to fit through any of his basement's doors or windows. 70. After winning $500, a man celebrated by buying a gold chain from a pawn shop. He paid with his winnings, including a $100 bill. The shop owner immediately realized the bill itself was a rare collectible worth thousands. The man traded a treasure for a trinket without even knowing it. 71. A British man won $148 million and became obsessed with the idea that everyone was after his money. He became a paranoid recluse, alienating his friends and family. He had the money to do literally anything in the world, but was too miserable to enjoy a single penny of it. 72. For a prank, a YouTuber filled his friend's car with millions of Orbeez water beads. The sheer weight damaged the car's suspension and electronics, causing thousands in damages. His quest for viral fame cost far more than any ad revenue it could ever generate. 73. A man used an old stock certificate for a defunct brewery as a bookmark for years. He later learned the brewery had been acquired by a major corporation. His single piece of paper was now worth over $100,000. He was literally saving his page with a down payment on a house. 74. A woman selling her house got a full-price, all-cash offer. She rejected it, convinced she could start a bidding war. No other offers came. She eventually had to sell her house months later for significantly less. Her greed cost her tens of thousands of dollars. 75. A contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire used his phone a friend on the final question. He called his dad, who confidently gave him the wrong answer. He lost almost $500,000 because he trusted his dad's completely misplaced confidence. 76. Winning a $45,000 sports car in a contest feels great. The tax bill for that prize, however, does not. Unable to pay the thousands in income tax and unable to sell the car quickly, the winner was forced to forfeit it. He won a luxury car, and all he got was a painful lesson from the IRS. 77. For generations, a Kansas farmer's family owned a huge, heavy meteorite they thought was worthless. A collector finally convinced him to get it analyzed. It was a palisite meteorite, a rare type filled with gems, worth over $1 million. Their family heirloom was literally out of this world. 78. TV journalist John Stossel was given 10 bitcoins back when they were cheap. He promptly lost the password. Years later, he interviewed a crypto expert who openly mocked him for his carelessness. He didn't just lose money, he was professionally roasted for it on his own show. 79. Quitting your job after a $1.3 million win is step 1. Step 2 should be cashing the ticket. This winner in California was convinced by his boss to stay on for 2 more weeks. During that time, he lost the winning ticket. His loyalty to his old job cost him his entire fortune. 80. A lifetime supply of chocolate was the prize. The winner could have taken a cash annuity worth thousands per year. Instead, she insisted on the chocolate. The company sent a truck with thousands of pounds of candy which she couldn't possibly store, sell, or eat before it all went bad. 81. An old blanket, a gift from years ago, made a perfect dog bed. That's what one woman thought, until an expert on a TV show identified it as a rare, first-phase Navajo Chiefs blanket. The historical artifact was worth over $1.5 million. Her dog had been sleeping on a masterpiece. 82. Televised poker has seen some spectacular bluffs. It's also seen this. A player going all in with a terrible hand against an opponent holding one of the best possible hands. The bluffer lost a multi-million-dollar pot in a single glorious moment of televised arrogance and catastrophic miscalculation. 83. A $10 million lottery win can fund any dream. This man's dream was to invest in a gentleman's club run by his wife and her sister. The business quickly failed, consuming nearly all his winnings in a spectacular flameout of bad decisions and incredibly awkward family drama. 84. What looks like a box of old dynamite should probably be handled carefully. This man, fearing for his safety, took the box he found to a remote field and detonated it. He later discovered the dynamite was a perfectly preserved collection of rare, vintage Cuban cigars worth over $50,000. 85. Old comic books found inside the wall of a new house are a potential treasure. Unless, of course, you think they're just kids' stuff and let your children draw on them and use them for art projects. That's how one couple turned a 6-figure collection into worthless doodled-on paper. 86. The business idea was guaranteed: a high-end emu farm. After winning the lottery, a man invested his entire prize with a friend. The market for emu meat and oil promptly collapsed. He lost everything in what is now considered a textbook example of a ridiculous investment bubble. 87. Inheriting a collection of rare, vintage wines worth a fortune is a great start. Storing them in your kitchen is a terrible finish. The constant temperature changes from the stove and refrigerator completely ruined the entire collection, turning priceless bottles into very expensive vinegar. 88. Finding a pristine 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card in a wall is a dream come true. Arguing with your sister over who owns it is not. During their fight, the card was accidentally ripped in half, instantly destroying its multi-million-dollar value. They literally tore up their winning ticket. 89. To hide her $1 million lottery ticket from her boyfriend, a woman put it inside a copy of the book The Idiot. While she was out, her boyfriend, in a fit of spring cleaning, donated a box of old books including The Idiot to a local thrift shop. The irony is almost too perfect. 90. A New York diner's lottery pool hit a $5 million jackpot. The waitress who bought the ticket decided it was hers alone. The ensuing legal battle with her former friends dragged on for years, eating up a huge chunk of the winnings and proving that greed is more expensive than friendship. 91. Having a painting professionally cleaned by a local furniture restorer seems like a bad idea because it is. One collector learned this when the harsh chemicals completely stripped the paint off a masterpiece, destroying its authenticity and reducing its value from millions to zero. 92. A six-figure salary or a lower salary with a huge chunk of stock options? That was the choice offered to an early tech employee. Believing the company would fail, he took the cash. That startup was Amazon. The stock options would have been worth billions. A truly catastrophic career move. 93. Faking your own death for an insurance payout is a classic scam. This Florida man's plan involved a boating accident. The Coast Guard spent thousands searching for him. He was eventually found very much alive and was promptly arrested for fraud. He tried to get rich and ended up with a criminal record. 94. Getting a famous author to sign their book usually increases its value, unless it's a rare first edition. A woman found a pristine copy of To Kill a Mockingbird and had Harper Lee sign it. That personal touch actually decreased its value to collectors, who prize untouched copies. 95. Winning Spain's massive El Gordo lottery should be the best day of your life. For one woman, it was her last. She was so overwhelmed by the news that she had a heart attack on the spot and died before she could claim her prize. The shock of winning was the one thing that stopped her from being rich. 96. An ancient hoard of Roman coins is a priceless historical find, unless you try to improve it. One treasure hunter, trying to make the coins shinier, cleaned them with acid. He completely corroded their delicate surfaces, erasing their historical markings and making them worthless. 97. A $30 million jackpot can last a lifetime. Or, in this Florida man's case, about a decade. Through a series of terrible business deals, bad loans to friends, and a ridiculously lavish lifestyle, he managed to burn through every single penny and ended up living in a trailer. 98. For decades, a Texas family used a large flat rock as a wobbly base for their picnic table. A visiting geologist asked to examine it. It turned out to be one of the largest dinosaur track fossils ever discovered, a piece of immense scientific and monetary value. They were eating BBQ on a museum piece. 99. A $1 million lottery win can make any dream come true. This man's dream was to become a professional wrestler. He spent nearly all his winnings on elaborate costumes, training, and self-produced events that almost no one attended. He successfully wrestled his entire fortune away. 100. Predicting the future of tech is hard. But in 2007, Microsoft's CEO Steve Ballmer declared the iPhone would be a niche product that would never gain significant market share. His spectacularly wrong prediction is now a legendary cautionary tale about underestimating the little guy. 101. Paying a programmer 2 bitcoins for a simple animated video seemed like a fair deal in the early days. At the time, it was just a few dollars. Today, those 2 bitcoins would be worth a fortune. The programmer was paid, but what he really received was a very, very expensive cartoon. Now for the question that will tear the comments apart. Forget pity. Name the number and explain. Who on this list most deserved their failure because of their own stupidity or greed? I want to see the arguments. And if this parade of losers made you feel like a financial genius, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, the world never runs out of new fools.